It took 49 games for the Philadelphia 76ers to reach win number 20 on the campaign, and all they needed to do was get Joel Embiid back in the lineup in order to lock that one up in the first night of a back-to-back for the Philadelphia 76ers. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Alongside Rich Hoffman, I'm Devon Givens. Bree is with us. We'll check in with Kyle and Derek from the arena a little bit later in the show as the Philadelphia 76ers get Joel Embiid back in the lineup, pick up win number 20. Tyrese Maxey has a 33-point double-double with 13 assists. Embiid drops a triple-double with a 29-point, let me make sure I have it correctly, 29-point, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, triple-double in 36 minutes, and a barely eke out a win over the Dallas Mavericks, a 2-point victory, 118-116. We'll get into some of the guys on the Dallas side that did play and what that looked like for them, some of the good that we saw from the 76ers outside of those two individuals. But Rich, what stood out to you before we get to your three takeaways? Some of the things that maybe you want to start off with the three takeaways. But your initial reaction, Sixers get, first of all, they get win number 20.
Win number 20.
49 games, and it took them to get win number 20.
So I think we have to start with Joel tonight, Devon. And first off, almost a loss, like very close to a loss. And we're going to get into those final possessions because I actually think Nick Nurse did some really good stuff down the stretch. Also, Justin Edwards as well. But because they won and because we can all take a deep breath. They got the win.
Got the dub.
We can focus on what we saw from Joel Embiid. And so there have been two long layoffs for Joel Embiid already this year. That the first one is at the beginning of the season. He makes his debut against the New York Knicks, and he is extremely rusty offensively in that game. He shoots 2 of 11 from the field. But I remember talking to, I believe it was Roy that night because you were at the game, and talking about, well, he's at least active on the defensive end. Fast forward a month or two to the Chicago game after he misses a few more weeks, and he has a much better offensive game. But he wasn't as great on the defensive end that night. So I was kind of curious which Joel we would get after a long layoff, and the answer was even more of that second game, where I thought in terms of his skill level, in terms of his scoring, his passing, all of that stuff, he's pretty sharp tonight, man. Pretty sharp. As you mentioned, a 29-point triple-double. Thought the shot looked good. Thought he was making some moves. We kind of talked about how he was getting his points. We'll get into that in a little bit. Some like lefty hang dribbles for buckets. I thought all of that stuff was good. The defense and the rebounding were terrible. And in fairness, that was really the story for the entire Sixers team tonight. And it was kind of the anti-Joel game for a lot of his career, where he finishes with a -12. The non-Maxey minutes replaced the non-Embiid minutes in this game because Embiid-only lineups really struggled in this one. But I think we said at the time when he came back the second time, of the two, which one would you rather have? I would rather start with the guy who is scoring, who is sharp, whose jumper looks good, who's making decent passes, because that's why he's an MVP, right? That is why, first and foremost, he has ascended to the level of the top 5 players in the league. That's the guy we got tonight, and I'm just happy we can talk about it in a win because it got a little dicey down the stretch there. What did you think about him tonight?
With him, you could see that, again, they were trying to get him going early. We were curious, and one thing that we didn't talk to Kyle about pregame was if Nick Nurse said anything about his minutes tonight. He wound up playing 36 minutes, which
played a lot,
which is surprising to me. And as we talked about going down the stretch, is he going to play the final, 10 minutes when he came back into the game? 10 minutes when he came back into the game.
I thought there would be a rest stint in the middle. There was not.
They couldn't. The game was too close, so they couldn't take him out. So he wound up playing 36 minutes, and we saw some really good things. And Rich said we'll talk about some of the other stuff that we really dove into as the game was playing out with how he was doing certain things. But he didn't look as rusty as he normally does when he comes back. And that was encouraging. Now, it's already reported, it's already said by Nick Nurse that he will not play tomorrow on the second night of a back-to-back against the Miami Heat.
We knew that.
No surprise there. So to see that tonight, which is probably why they decided to extend those minutes when we thought he would get a break in that 10-minute stretch there to close out the game, it's probably why he played to the rest of those 10 minutes, is because Nick Nurse already knew that he wasn't going to be able to suit up against the Miami Heat. We'll see him on Friday, hopefully, back on the floor against the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. So I thought, though, from the scoring, the passing, the ability to finish around the rim with a little bit of creation, as we'll talk about a little bit later, that was encouraging to see after having a month off from Joel Embiid. The first couple of baskets defensively for the Dallas Mavericks on the other end, it looked like he struggled a little bit defensively, trying to see what he wanted to do, how he wanted to move with that knee, having that brace on. But as he settled in, as Rich alluded to, as he settled in, he was fine. He looked like Joel Embiid knocking down his mid-range jumper. I thought he forced a couple of threes a little bit too much there tonight, because as you're trying to get that lift back into your game and get that comfortability once again from shooting from such long distance, I thought he could have done without those. And his passing was really good. And we'll talk about some of those a little bit later too. So encouraged. If we're talking about grading him for tonight, I would give him a solid B+ for his work tonight, for what he did after being off for an entire month.
Because we've seen him with
a lot of time
off, right?
Considering when we've seen him before with a lot of time off, and he's come back and we're like, oh, they won, but he looked like a C- out there.
It's been a lot worse than that.
So good performance coming back for Joel Embiid.
This is a little bit of a sidebar here, but I do get a kick out of how reporters on Twitter, when they're talking about whether a player is playing or not, they scream at us when they say out or in. It's Joel Embiid is all caps out.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid is all caps in, available to play. Why are you screaming at us, guys?
Well, I do that when I send out the tweets for the postgame show, and I say, now. Well, at least you are unique in that regard, because a lot of people don't do that. Every single reporter has that style. It's part of AP style with tweeting. Yeah. Joel Embiid will be out for tomorrow night. Anyway, I don't like being screamed at. Fair enough.
I agree with you, though. I agree with you. And Bree, do you have the three things?
Let's get to the three takeaways. Rich's takeaways, brought to you by
no one.
All right.
So I think Joel and Tyrese, I put them up there, but really this could be everybody. The Sixers tonight, their offense was really good. It was really good.
Again.
But tonight the offense was less reliant on fluky 3-point shooting. Mm-hmm. They were getting easy layups. I thought they were great. Defensively, they stunk. Their perimeter defense tonight, which Joel had nothing to do, was terrible tonight, man. Some just ridiculous stuff going on. The second thing I wanted to shout out, this was just one play, but Justin Edwards made the play of the game, in my opinion, tracking back and stopping Najee Marshall on that fast break.
I didn't think he had a shot.
Awesome play. He honestly might have fouled him, but he got away with it. The rest were letting a lot go late in the game. Great hustle by that kid. And that's after, I believe, Tyrese turns the ball over. Tyrese then airballs the three on the other end. But Justin Edwards getting back and making that play, that was awesome. And then the third thing, this is a smaller thing. Nick Nurse did an awesome job on the last two possessions. We've given Nick Nurse a ton of flack so far this season. Mm-hmm. He got the ball out of Kyrie Irving's hands, not once, but twice. And Bree, do you have those plays up there? Because our friend Worldwide Wob, he tweeted those out. Thank you, Bree. As you can see on the last two possessions here, everybody, take a look at what Nick Nurse does to Kyrie Irving. He says, you're not getting the ball. Joel doubles here, and you end up getting Najee Marshall driving at Gershon Yabusele. You would much rather have that matchup. He could have made that shot, but it's much better than Kyrie Irving getting a look, right, against Tyrese Maxey, picking his matchup. It's pretty similar, I think, the other night, man, to the Denver game where he doubles at the end of that game and Kelly Oubre almost gets the steal. But we said, I like that he did that. I like that he tried something, and tonight it actually paid off. Bree, let's go to that second clip. Thank you so much, Bree. Second clip, Dante Exum is the inbounder, and Tyrese Maxey says, that's fine, I'm going to double you. And you get a situation where you're only up 2, so a 3 beats you, and Dante Exum has to drive the ball at Joel Embiid to shoot a 2. It's exactly what you're looking for. If he makes a floater, great. You're only tied and you could still win the game in overtime.
Yeah.
But even then, that's a bad situation. You have Maxey taking away the corner three to Clay. Awesome job by Nick Nurse to get the ball out of Kyrie Irving's hands late. Also, Jason Kidd, it's not great to have a non-shooter as the inbounder. As we always know, the inbounder is the most dangerous man. Dante Exum was looking like prime, like Derrick Rose.
Should have been Klay Thompson.
Russell
probably.
Westbrook. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, and thank you so much for that video, Bree. Good job by Nick Nurse down the stretch.
Yeah, so on both of those plays, the first one that you alluded to, I do give them credit for how they eventually recovered because, as we said, all three of us in the moment were like, what? How is Max Christie open in the corner all by himself when the play started to unfold? Great job by Jason Kidd to design that, but bad job by the Sixers on the initial defense of leaving him in the corner. Good recovery to get him eventually, as they did not happen. And then also, I want to give credit to Tyrese Maxey too, because Tyrese Maxey had to make that sprint on the as he was digging down a little bit into the middle of the floor. Instead of having Embiid sprint to the corner to close off that outlet pass from Kyrie Irving to the corner, Tyrese Maxey took that away, which allowed Embiid to drop back into the middle of the floor so he didn't have to use so much energy to find where the man was, who he was going to get. Maxey with the speed, while he didn't have the height to block it or anything, he certainly had the speed to get there to cut off any sort of in-motion rhythm shooting from the man on the catch. So great job there. And then on the second play that you just laid out there too, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, Dante Exum was having a pretty decent game.
But that's what you
making
want.
Decisions. But that's exactly in the guts of the game. You want it in the man's hands who was not used to having that role, that responsibility to make a decision there. And you run into the big fella, whether he can leap or not. That's 7'2",
that's a hard
with
shot.
Arms up. And that's a very difficult thing for him.
And he got scared.
He got scared. So great job by them on that one. Good job by Nick Nurse, as you talked about, doubling their best player, taking it out of his hands. If they're going to lose,
we're going to lose
somebody else. And if it's a three from somebody else too, and they walk off win, so be it, because I had to take it out of Kyrie Irving's hand, and that's exactly what they did. So really good recognition by the Sixers. I was really impressed because Tyrese Maxey, as we talked about during the game, all of us, he had some bad defensive lapses tonight.
Yes, he did.
That one, though, he was on point to make sure that he sprinted across the floor from one baseline to one side of the baseline to the other to find that man open in the corner.
And I feel like Joel got his best defensive board on the night on the first possession to, I believe, ward off Daniel Gafford or somebody.
That's where he split the free throws, right?
Yeah, he split the free throws.
Yeah.
Really, really nice play by Joel.
And
he saved it. Yeah.
Two hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kelly Oubre had a chance. He one-handed it, and it stayed in bounds, and they wound up getting a score off of it. Had Kelly Oubre going up there because he had the height. If he had two-handed rebound, he would have been fouled or just simply come down with the rebound in general.
So great job there. Okay, let's get into some of the Joel stuff because we can talk about it more positively because everybody's in a good mood and we have a win to talk about here. I think
it was close that we were going the other way tonight, folks.
So you know what was one of my favorite things of the night, man?
Yeah.
I thought his passing, Gershon Yabusele gets the start at the 4, and I apologize to anybody who tailed me on the bets because I thought that would mean Yabu would shoot more threes. No. Gershon Yabusele is pretty big for a power forward. They did a great job of high-low passing, both of them. You can have Gershon Yabusele at the top of the key finding Joel Embiid for steals, but you can also have Joel Embiid finding Gershon Yabusele for steals. And at the beginning of the third quarter, the Sixers got 8 points for Yabusele off the same flex cut where Embiid was at the top of the key. I think he passed for 3 of those plays. Just finding, looking over the top of the defense, finding Yabusele. Yabusele had the dunk on the one of them, but just, he has that big backside. He can carve a bunch of space out, and he does a great job of using angles, putting it off the glass and putting it in. I thought that was awesome to see. It was fun to watch, man. That's good basketball. Like high-low, 2 interchangeable bigs who are skilled but also physical and winning with their brains. I thought that was a lot of fun to watch, the 2 of them.
Yeah, and it was funny because as we were watching, I wish you guys could sit in here with us sometimes and just see how we do it because we're sitting here watching it. And you know that one meme gif or whatever you want to say with Leonardo DiCaprio where he gets up out of his chair and he kind of points at
from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time, which is a really fun
That's
movie,
a good
by
movie,
the way,
yeah.
especially at the end. If you haven't seen it, the Brad Pitt part with the dog and yeah, this is fantastic. But Yabusele would cut, and all three of us like, ooh, he's wide open, because it was such a well-designed and great pick from the man setting the screen to allow
Justin Edwards a lot of time,
allowing Yabusele to get that open opportunity, if not wide open, sealing that man so deep into the post where Embiid could just drill the basketball down there. If they reach over him, then it's a foul. They did a really good job with that. And as we talk, hey, bleed it, man. Run it over and over again if it continues to work and they continue to punish them on that particular play. Keep running it. And that's exactly what they did. And they really did a good job of that with that. So when we talk about a lot of times, hey, where's the offense? What are they doing? Why are they not running some really cool stuff here? We saw some really cool stuff, with a couple of double screens and drag screens in general. And guys, fine, you talking about the flex cut there for 8 points with Embiid and Yabusele, each one of them with that high-low action, passing each other the basketball. Some really good stuff from Nick Nurse. And you talked about, we've been critical of him for much of the season. We've also praised him for the last 2 weeks, and he's done a really good job. They should have won one of those 2 games between Denver and what was the other one? Boston. Yeah. Between Denver and Boston. They should have won one of those. All right, they lost both, but they were in them. And when you talk about tonight, them still shooting 52% from the floor, they were hitting a number of 21 threes. They had another 12-point night, but the field goal percentage was still very high. Nick Nurse has done a really solid job. And when you bring up the Justin Edwards piece, the consistent level of play that he has given them as a starter.
Making threes tonight, too.
As a starter, he would end up 16 points tonight, like 4 threes. As a starter and having that key block down the stretch where we said it, man. And I said to Rich and Bree during the game, I cannot wait to see where he tops out as a defender in the NBA, because his help defense and his one-on-one defense as a two-way undrafted player for the Philadelphia 76ers has been fantastic now that we have gotten the chance to see him with consistent NBA minutes in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform. Justin Edwards has outperformed what I even thought that he could be this season. I had no idea what he was going to be after the Summer League performance, after preseason, getting some run there early on for the Sixers when some injuries were happening. Nick Nurse went deep into his bench to bring Justin Edwards in. He has totally outplayed what I thought he could be. And as a defender, yes, the shooting is there where he's knocking down at a really good clip from behind the three-point line. But as a defender, you know that coaches stress, you have to do this to find a role on a basketball team. He has found that role as a defender and a shooter. And if he can turn out to be a really good two-way player, for the second consecutive season, they have found something. And this kid has a really good chance to have a really, really nice defensive profile for however long his NBA career extends. And it's really nice to see that, number one, because he's a hometown kid doing it for his hometown team, but just the hard work that he has put in to carve out this role with this basketball team where he was way down in the depth territory for this team. He is now a starter. Now, he's not going to be a starter when Paul George comes back and Kelly Oubre is in the starting lineup with Yabusele and whomever else, however they decide to go. But he is certainly giving himself a chance to, number one, as Rich and I talked about in the pregame, get that NBA contract, getting that finalized sometime this spring, and then seeing where he falls in line if and when they decide that, hey, maybe we can give him a little bit of run too in any kind of postseason rotation that they have for however long that might be. This guy has been unbelievable for what he has turned himself into. What is he, still 19? Is he 20 yet?
He's young, yeah.
Yeah. Great job by them. Great job by him, most importantly, to stick with it, do what he needed to do, and find his way with this team.
I think what's cool, and you see this a lot in the NBA, we've talked about how when he was at Imhotep, he was one of the best 2 or 3 players in the country, right? He was, when he played against DJ Wagner at Hawk Hill, that was like the game of the year. That was like the game of the decade in Philadelphia, high school hoops. But he was a scorer, right? I mean, everybody who's a top 2 or 3 player in their class is an amazing scorer. when you get to this level, you got to learn how to do different stuff. And he has taken to that, and he has taken to it great. I mean, what a great experience for him, man. He's chasing around Jamal Murray 3 nights ago. He's chasing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown around. He's got Kyrie tonight. That's the primary assignment.
That was his assignment, man.
Yeah, and he's, he gets beat sometimes, but he's doing great for a rookie, man. And he's clearly, the mentality is what stands out to me. He is not afraid. Like, if a guy scores on him, if he fouls Kyrie on a jump shot, which he did a couple times, Kyrie makes a crazy step back jumper or a turnaround on him. It's just like, all right, I'm going to guard you the next possession. You're still going to have to do that again. And there's something really refreshing about a kid who it just feels like the moment's not too big for him, which is awesome to see. And I got to say, man, like, again, the play of the game was him tracking back in transition and stopping that fast break. Great hustle by Justin Edwards. Save the game. You know what? I don't know who got the game ball. I mean, Embiid, television-wise, got the game ball he throws at. That's probably the game ball right there. That's the game ball. It's either for that play. For that play. Yeah. That play alone. And of course, he knocked down the shots, what happens 47 minutes ago, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Just throughout the 47 minutes that he played. But I mean, come on, man. That was probably the play of the game tonight. All right, let's get to a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about so much more as the Sixers snap their 2-game losing streak, picking up win number 20 on the season. It took them 49 games, but here we are. We'll track what the Chicago Bulls are doing. They're half a game back of them for the 10th seed. They're tanking. So you can pretty much, if the Sixers win games, you're going to put yourself in that spot. We'll let you know what the Chicago Bulls are doing, what the Miami Heat are doing in that game against Chicago, because they are the opponent tomorrow on the second night of a back-to-back. The final game of the 6-game homestand. Would be nice to have a 4-2 record to close things out. This is the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show. Sixers win. It's presented by Bet365. And Bet365 has us covered here on our show every single time we step here in front of the camera and the microphones. And as Rich said, unfortunately, Gershon Yabusele, he had a good night. He did not knock down the outside shots, no problem, because if you separated our plays and you didn't parlay them together this time like you normally do and win, I had you covered. Gambling Givens had you. Tyrese Maxey over 28.5, cleared that easy. I was sweating there with Klay Thompson a little bit late, but he knocked down 2 late threes to end up with 3 3-pointers tonight. That was a plus 140 on our same game parlay. Bam! Got you. Done. Made the money right there at Bet365. It's never ordinary, and Bet365 has over 90 million users worldwide with live streams of 780,000 plus events a year where you get the early payouts. The offers there, NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL, as well as the Flyers played tonight as well. They pioneered live in-game betting and got you covered right there at Bet365. The early payout offer is always available for you as well. And on Tip-Off Tuesdays, like tonight was, hey, you just simply see for yourself with Tip-Off Tuesdays, where you place a qualifying parlay bet totaling $20 or more on Tuesday NBA games, and you get up to $25 in bonus bets. Those terms and conditions certainly do apply. They also have a Slam Dunk Saturday where you can get involved in that. Plus, you also take advantage of the early payout offer if you're a winner, if your team goes up by 20 points or more in any given game. Not the case tonight. That's okay. You can try that anytime at Bet365. And we do have breaking news, not trade deadline breaking news, but Bet365 breaking news. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you place a $5 bet on a $10 deposit to get your $150 in bonus bets if your team wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more, just like the parlays that we just had. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And now let's talk about our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Did all of that holiday shopping leave you with a credit card balance that is weighing you down? Well, if that's the case, think about this. What if you could pay it off faster and with zero interest until 2026? It's true, because TrueMark Financial is offering zero interest on balance transfers for 12 months, so all of your payments can go towards reducing your balance, not just covering interest. So here's the play. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to a TrueMark Financial Visa credit card and take advantage of this amazing offer. But hurry up. We're in February. There's only a few weeks left. This offer runs out and It runs out February 28th, 2025. So whether you're interested in earning rewards, cash back, or simply prefer a low rate for everyday purchases, with TrueMark Financial, you can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. So go on and visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, a federally insured by NCUA, an equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. A 3% balance transfer fee applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Hope you made that money there at Bet365, and then you can deposit it into TrueMark to make sure you save it properly as you get ready for the spring and the summer. Let's get to Tyrese Maxey, man, because he had...
Can I say one more thing about Joel?
Sure.
That I really liked, because we both talked about this during the game. He had like the lefty hang dribble going. He looked good in that. But the one thing I thought I saw a lot, and you remarked at the same time too, because he doesn't have that same explosiveness from his knee, I thought he did a good job of starting his moves. Like he was catching the ball on the run to gain more momentum. And it felt like because he was able to do that, he was a little bit less reliant on the jumper. I know he settled for a few at the end of the game, but he got some layups on Gafford and some other guys because he started running and catching the ball. There was a turnover one time where he dropped the ball, but for the most part, now, I mean, this is like what looks great right here. Just that little pitch back game, little hang dribble on Gafford here. That looks, I mean, that's Joel Embiid, right?
Layup.
That is why he was the MVP leader when he was hurt last year in Golden State. I mean, that's just unguardable. That's really impressive to see. But besides that, and thank you for showing that, Bree, I just thought he did a good job of like being crafty, right? Where he was starting his momentum early. We always say do your work early defensively. Felt like he did his work early offensively tonight.
It's reading where the defender is when the ball is about to be received. Can you do that off the catch? And he was, yeah, absolutely.
So I was really impressed with that. He does not obviously have the same level of explosion, but I thought he did a really good job of catching the ball on the move and getting some chances. Let's talk about Tyrese, because I think he was even more on the extremes than Joel. Now, in fairness to Tyrese, the Maxey only minutes were great, and I think that's because they've been doing is playing those Maxey only minutes for a few weeks, and he has that part down pat. I guess we can leave the defense to the side for a second.
It's a separate conversation.
To the second, and it wasn't just him, because I thought Reggie Jackson had some ridiculous plays. But Tyrese did struggle on that end of the night. Offensively, man, he is unbelievable right now. He is so good. How many tough drives did he have tonight, man? Yeah. He had Max Christie, who all we've been hearing about. What a good 3-and-D player. That's not a throw-in in the Luka Doncic trade. That's a good player. Max Christie, who had a great night shooting the ball and a great offensive night, man, he had nothing for Tyrese Maxey tonight. Tyrese was shooting those step-back threes. Max Christie was out of your picture at home, man. He was creating...
He sent him to the floor on one.
Acres of space on those moves. But he also was playing bully ball and some really nice drives, some really nice mid-range jumpers. I thought right when they went to... I was curious how they would handle the backups tonight. And so when Joel first goes to the bench in the first quarter, I'm wondering, like, do they go to Bona right away? Do we see some Yabu at the 5? Because Yabu obviously starts at the 4. How are they going to play it? At the start, they go Yabu at the 5, which is their really great offensive lineup. And we've talked for 3 weeks now, how Yabu at the 5 with Tyrese brings out the best in Tyrese, and it probably brings the best out of the Sixers offense. Man, they ran like 4 pick and rolls from him in all different sort of ways. He gets downhill for layups. He gets Christie on his back for a floater. He hits a step back 3. Just the variety of buckets he was scoring. He was awesome. Awesome offensive game from him.
The one that was impressive too was they took away a lot of his on certain levels. They took away the drive. They really overloaded on him because Embiid wasn't on the floor. Took away the drive. He found himself on the right. Couldn't get the 3-pointer, and he kind of circled back into the middle of the floor, and then found himself on that right side of the free throw line. A lot of where T.J. McConnell loves to live with that pull up jump shot, elbow extended. And he hit that fadeaway jumper. And we've seen it before, but every time he does it, because he's so good at the other two, we always say, hey, man, incorporate that mid-range jump shot to keep them really honest. They're already honest because of who you are. You're an all-star player. You didn't make it this year, but we know. That shot right there is really impressive. He had one that I didn't like, and I was like, damn, that's a great finish, but I didn't like the shot. But that's how good he is. This is now game number 15 of over 25 points or more, 28 also, if you want to just, go there, but 25 or more. And he's also now scored in 6 consecutive games, 30 or more in these basketball games. He ends up with 33 tonight. He missed one free throw where we thought it was a questionable call. Ball don't lie. He split the pair.
Yeah, that was a bad call.
That's a bad call. We didn't like it. Yeah, they shouldn't have called that.
That's okay.
One. But it's all right. They got the win by 2. It ultimately did not matter. But he has just been playing a really good brand of basketball. And every time we always see the evolution of him as a facilitator, a shot creator for others as well, he continues to show where he makes these right passes to other guys, not just Embiid. His assist numbers are always going to go up when he's on the floor because of their 2-man game in the middle of the floor with the pick and pop, hitting that jump shot.
Easy ones. Yep.
Gets those. But it's the finding Justin Edwards and trusting Justin Edwards. It's finding Yabusele and making sure that he also is finding Ricky Council, who hit that first 3 that they needed, and saying, Ricky, take that shot. So to end up with 13 assists tonight, sure, a lot of them were to Joel Embiid, but man, when Embiid is out there, and we've seen it as of late where he kind of gets things going just a tad bit later because he's trying to get the others involved. He had a lot of misses too because Kelly Oubre didn't have his normal offensive night that we've seen as of late.
Yeah, for sure.
And he has been just tremendous as a facilitator, a guy who is assisting his teammates in getting some easier looks at the basket with certain drives where it's not just a kick out to the three-point line. It's also those where he's driving to the basket and dropping one off closer for a little touch floater on the catch from those guys in close. Or, again, finding those role players out there on the perimeter to knock down those outside shots. You give Tyrese Maxey a ton of credit. We know he can score, but as we've asked him to do in year number 5, he has certainly elevated his play as far as a facilitator goes and getting everybody else involved in the offense. And it's been really, really nice to see. And by the way, when Embiid first went to sit down because they were trying to get him those touches early and get his offensive production going early, as soon as Joel Embiid sat down in that first quarter,
perfect. Shot out
Tyrese Maxey went and scored 9 consecutive points for the 76ers. It
was great.
And that's what we've seen over the duration of these games with Paul George now out. Certainly Embiid missing a month, but with George out and it only being Tyrese Maxey, that's the player that we've seen so much. And it was really good to see. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at ALLPHLY_Sixers to get a lot of our updates, a lot of our alerts for the shows, the schedule as well for this season. And you can also make sure that you find when Rich and I, like tomorrow, will have our pregame shows.
Got another one tomorrow.
Got another one tomorrow. You can find Rich at Rich_Hoffman. That's with 2 N's, 1 F. And myself at _Devon Givens as well on Twitter. So go ahead, follow us. Follow the show account at PHLY_Sixers. It's the trade deadline. So you need to follow all 4 of us, from Kyle Neubeck at Kyle Neubeck and Derek Bodner as well at Derek Bodner NBA on Twitter to get all the latest updates because, it's going to be busy. These next couple of days is going to be busy. We already have one trade. Quentin Grimes officially a 76er as Caleb Martin is headed to the Dallas Mavericks. And KJ Martin, if you did not hear earlier, KJ Martin, as reported by Kyle Neubeck, did not play tonight, was no longer in the arena as the game got underway because he left the building due to a pending trade with a team that basically wanted the Sixers to rule him out because they want this trade to go through and they don't want to risk anything, especially with him coming off of missing so much time since December because of the foot injury. They did not want him out on the floor. So make sure you follow us all. Follow PHLY_Sixers to get all the updates on the Sixers as this trade deadline inches closer to the 3 p.m. deadline on Thursday. We'll have our show beginning at Bree. You said 2 o'clock on Thursday? 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
2 to 4 on Thursday. We have you covered for the Sixers trade deadline special right here with all of us. So this is going to be a fun one. Speaking of that,
You know what my favorite play, by the way, with Maxey is? I think this might be my favorite play that the Sixers run, it just puts a huge smile on my face. When Embiid and him play the two-man game and Embiid throws the blind through the legs bounce pass.
It's my favorite play.
And it hits him right in the chest and he makes the three. I love that. That is so awesome.
You love the between the legs one. I love the one where he just drops it off with one hand.
That one's good too.
That's my favorite one. The synergy between those two is really good. And I was thinking when you were talking about Justin Edwards and speaking of Maxey also, and even when McCain comes back, that if let's say McCain starts, all right, whatever. Let's say McCain starts and he's the starter next to him. But to be able to have, if this continues to pan out with Justin Edwards, as you alluded to who he is right now and what he could potentially be, as we talked about 3-and-D player. But those two, as your two defensive wings and guards coming off the bench to spell Kelly Oubre or Jared McCain at that time, or Tyrese Maxey, one coming off, or keeping both of them on the floor with both of those two gentlemen. The lineup possibilities that Nick Nurse will be able to have should be pretty fun with those two. And even with McCain out now, but getting Grimes able to run the floor the way that the Sixers do when Maxey, he can keep up with Maxey and the rest of that group when Embiid is off the floor and he's running, filling one of those lanes, or even being a trail man with Tyrese Maxey.
Well, let's also say, I hope Quentin Grimes can get those physicals and all that stuff done tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow morning, whenever. Maybe he's doing them right now.
Shouldn't take that long.
I don't know. Because guess what? The defense was terrible tonight.
Terrible.
I would like to watch Quentin Grimes play defense tomorrow night because the defense, I just don't want to watch Reggie Jackson. Seems like a nice guy. Seems like a guy who understood what his role was supposed to be this year as a deep bench piece. Seems like he's very good friends with PG. I can't watch it. I can't watch it again. They need Quentin Grimes tomorrow night
badly
to get the defense going. Here's a question that Doug posted in the chat that I thought was a pretty good one. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this one? Do you think Caleb Martin was dealt because of the emergence of Justin Edwards? Do you think that played even maybe like a 20% part in it, a 30% part in it? Do you have a big wing defender?
The only problem is we don't know yet that Justin Edwards, even though as glowingly as we've talked, we don't know the playoff player yet. We know the Caleb Martin playoff player. We don't know that yet. And I'd imagine even if they get into the postseason that they're not just going in there to win a play-in.
Yeah.
They're trying to win if they get in and shock some people. Miami has done it in the past, so why can't the Sixers is probably what they're thinking. So I think it was part of any conversation that they had, but I won't go as high as 20%.
Okay.
I'll say that Justin Edwards' name has come up positively of what he has been able to do, shocking even them to believe that they can make that kind of move.
Do you think they look at this as, right now, we hope we can make a run. We hope Joel and PG can get back together. We're not tanking.
No.
But do you think they look at it realistically as, all right, if we can develop Justin Edwards this year, though, we are the 10 seed right now, or are they tied for the 10 seed with that
they're
win?
half a game back in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not even the 10 seed right now, the 11 seed. It's going to be hard to make a run.
Great question, though, Doug.
Yeah. So
great question.
That's a decent point. I mean, I will say the one thing with Justin Edwards that is different from Caleb Martin is Justin Edwards, despite not having a crazy good reputation as a shooter coming into the league, man, he's willing to shoot it. Caleb Martin would never.
He's got a quick release.
Except against Boston. Caleb Martin would not shoot 9 threes in a game.
No hesitation. He'll make 9, though.
Huh?
He won't even have to shoot 9 to make 9. He's like, I make 9 even though I've made 6. That's the impact of his makes against Boston. That's how good he is.
The one of the big plays of the night, too, this was also a nice Nick Nurse play. Sixers go down 2, gave up like a 9-0 run midway through the fourth quarter. Mavs go zone. And
109, 107.
Nurse calls a good play where they set the kind of flare screen for Justin Edwards in the corner. Trust him to make that shot. Maxey finds him. Big 3.
After he missed, I think 1 or 2 before that, but he trusted him enough to make that one. Let's take a quick break. We come right back. We'll get into the play of the game, get to Davon's super chat, read some more of you guys' chat, check in with the guys from the arena. A lot going on in 76ers world. The NBA trade deadline is 3 p.m. on Thursday, and there's been a lot buzzing around what's going on with the Philadelphia 76ers, but they get a much-needed win tonight, snapping a 2-game losing streak, defeating the visiting Dallas Mavericks, shorthanded as they were. They battled tonight. 118, 116. We'll discuss it all right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365.
Devon, we will talk first about our friends at Shady Rays.
Sunglasses.
Might be cold.
Get Luka some sunglasses, man.
Why, you think he needs them?
He's in LA now. It is sunny in Texas, but he's in LA. Get Luka some shades. Hook him up.
The different LA vibe?
Yeah, hook him up.
Well, Philly is not known for that vibe, but it's never too early to start thinking about summer and the sun. So our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for outdoor adventures. If you're a skier or snowboarder, and again, that's still going on right now, Shady Rays has a brand new collection of snow goggles to help you see clearly and look good on the slopes. It is available in both adult and kid sizes. And with so many colors available, you'll find a pair that's perfect for you. Shady Rays would come in handy if you're planning a trip to New Orleans. I mean, you might be a little bit late on that, but, if you're going down at the end of the week, I think maybe somebody in the chat that applies to them. And if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. The Shady Rays team always has your back with personal and fast support. PHLY viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code PHLY today at shadyrays.com.
Got to tell you about Glatt Hair Restoration, teaming up with Dr. Morgenstern at the Morgenstern Center. And we were sitting there watching the game. We have multiple TVs here in the office. If you were here, you'd be like, it's pretty cool, the setup that they have. Now, with the setup, we had the 3 televisions. And one was playing on the Fast Channel, John Marks. And John Marks has been an advocate for many, many years for Dr. Glatt, and now again with Dr. Morgenstern as they've teamed up, which is now Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical. If you check out John Marks, you see he has a full head of hair. Fantastic. And even with the combining and putting this group together, you still get the same type of peerless approach to care, the same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, and same state-of-the-art location, and the same stellar results that John has been talking about for many years, even under the direction now of Dr. Morgenstern, who is a highly respected plastic surgeon. If you're curious of what this really does to how you regain that hair and get it back as we are closing in on the spring and summer months, well, laser light therapy, vitamin supplementation, non-invasive TED treatments, topical oral medications, PRP, and stem cell restoration, as well as hair restoration surgery. Caring patients from your complimentary one-on-one. Caring patient advocates work with you from the first phone call to the last follow-up visit. They understand that this decision can be emotional and challenging of how you want to do things, and they're here to help make your experience as simple and stress-free as possible. Glatt Hair isn't just about restoration, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments really do dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional, but if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show following a win. Nice to see that again after a 2-game losing streak. They are 3-2 now at home with an opportunity to close out their 6-game homestand, which is a season-long homestand. 4-2 if they can defeat the Miami Heat tomorrow. Yes, so as frustrating as those 2 losses were to both Denver and Boston, you have a shot tomorrow. Miami will be traveling here after playing Chicago tonight, so you also get them on the second night of a back-to-back, but playing basketball tonight. Let's get to the player of the game. As we referenced a little bit earlier, he was fantastic offensively. 33 and 13, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. Continues to have his hands defensively in a lot of action going on there to pick up the basketball, get some steals there. So Tyrese Maxey once again getting the nod, folks, getting the nod as player of the game. Player of the game, as always, for us here is brought to you by
no one.
Exactly.
So apparently the Bulls won and they beat the Heat. I think that's probably good for the Sixers because the Sixers
123-124. You got to catch the Bulls.
You got to assume that if you get your guys back, you're going to reel in the Bulls pretty easily. Heat are sitting at the number 6 seed right now. Got a chance to pick up
5 games back? Yeah, 5 games back of the Heat. Yep.
They are 5. Yeah. Well,
or 4.5.
It'll be 4.5 after this one.
4.5 now.
You got a chance to pick up another game on them tomorrow night on your home court. After that flight from Miami to Philly for them tomorrow.
Yeah, so
hopefully Quentin Grimes will be ready for Tyler Hero and whoever else they got in their backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Terry Rozier.
Maybe a little Maxey. Terry Rozier. I mean, got a lot of. He's been in the news a lot lately.
Yeah, he has been. Goodness gracious. Will they
maybe
learn?
a little Maxey revenge game against Tyler Hero for the All-Star, even though he was like so nice about it in the post-game comments where he was just
even though he has his eyes are red when he sees them in front of him.
It would be really funny.
Right?
It'd be really funny.
Cade on Friday, Max Hero tomorrow. Yeah.
It would be really funny if like he goes for like 80 points, which in fairness is like not too far off what he's been averaging over the past few weeks.
Right. Yeah.
But if he goes for like a combined 80 points against those two guys, after like that wonderfully diplomatic answer in the press conference about, hey man, there's a lot of good players in this league, and I know a lot of these guys. Tyler Hero, he's another Kentucky guy, and he got his first nod.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be nice to see that fuel him a little bit and say, you know what? I'm going to give you a bunch of buckets, and then I'm going to go on a vacation after.
Yeah, take this. Take this.
Yeah.
All right, before we go any further, I do want to tell everybody, as we reference Kyle and the reporting that he had, and with the Eagles going into the Super Bowl, we're now just days away, less than a week now, as we approach Super Bowl 59. That the coverage here at PHLY has been phenomenal. And if you want to get in on the writing side of things, including Rich's daily newsletter, that is fantastic. It's the best in the city. Sign up right now because we have a great offer going on because of the Super Bowl right now. We have a fantastic thing going on right now where we are here as a team giving up save for the big game $36 diehard membership. You sign up now and all you have in front of you is $3 a month for a year. To sign up and become a diehard member, you get a free t-shirt. You have exclusive access to a lot of what's going on here as a diehard member here at the PHLY network. You also have access to the channel, the Discord channel that is very, very active.
Very active.
Very active. I should know. And as active as it is, you can be a part of that. So $36 for the year, $3 a month for great written content from Kyle, Derek, and Rich on the Sixers, most certainly on the Eagles side of things with the Super Bowl just a days away. Zach, Bo, Les, Fran with the draft and the Super Bowl. You got contributors from Ed Barkowitz, Pat McClure, everybody. We got everybody in there. So go sign up, $36 to become a PHLY diehard. Sign up for the membership. And love to see you in there. Appreciate everybody with the $36. Can't beat that. All right, let's get to a few other things here. We talked about Embiid and Maxey and Edwards. Get to the super chats here right now as well before the guys check in. Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats, saying, KJ Martin for just picks is disappointing, shaking my head. Can you explain why it's just for the picks, as Kyle shared with us in the pregame show?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Davon, the one thing I would say is that it's unclear what the actual return is. I think, as Kyle insinuated, there might have been a few other Sixers reporters who have insinuated it too. They think it's going to be more of a flexibility move. Mm-hmm. But let's see. Let's see what they do. Let's see if it is picks. What are the picks they get? Is it going to be good ammo for them to get back in the offseason? I imagine. I mean, KJ Martin is that's not even that bad of a contract anymore, especially because you don't have to pay it next year. He's like a decent player, and if he's healthy, I assume he was healthy tonight. Let's just be patient and see exactly what it is. I understand, if Davon is in the in the camp of wanting to add to this team. And, in fairness, like in the offseason, we thought it was going to be attaching picks to that KJ Martin contract to get another contributor to this rotation. Obviously, the season has not unfolded the way we thought it would. So maybe Daryl Morey has decided to change course and not go all the way in. Let's just take a look and see what it is, though.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. Davon also says that Caleb lost, his spot to 3 younger players before. So deja vu. I don't think he necessarily lost his spot. I mean, it was just the injuries in and of itself. If he came back, he was starting. He was playing. There's no question about it. He was playing. Just the injuries kept him off the floor, which gave those other young players an opportunity to show that there's some value there for them in helping out the veterans and being on the floor. So I wouldn't say he lost the spot. I mean, but to Doug's question a little bit earlier, maybe they didn't bring his name up because that's how good these Justin Edwards, Ricky Council have been playing as of late.
I think the way I would respond to Doug's comment, because I know our guy Al is not happy with
Al was not thrilled
with the Caleb trade, and that's fine. Al is perfectly entitled to that opinion. I mean, Al, we talked about, if you want to check out our thoughts on the Caleb Martin trade, we talked at length on the pregame show, and they did an emergency pod too. So there's plenty of content for anybody who missed that earlier in the day. We talked about how we really like Caleb Martin too, and we think he's a good player on a good contract. The way I would frame it, though, is, okay, yeah, he did not get traded because of Justin Edwards, but watching Justin Edwards play now kind of in his spot and somebody who will be a rotation wing, probably even when they get all of their guys back, it takes away a little bit of the sting. And considering where the Sixers are, which is not at the top of the Eastern Conference standings, not guaranteed to play high-level playoff basketball this year, it fits a little bit better. It makes a little bit more sense, I would say. I'm not saying that's the reason why, but, watching Justin Edwards look like, a real rotation player over these past few weeks has been, I don't know, it's kind of fit with this team and how Daryl Morey approached that trade.
Yep, absolutely. And if you want to have any hope that you sign Yabusele at the end of the year, some of this stuff is forward thinking from Daryl Morey in the front office of how they can clear things up, potentially, depending on how much money he's going to get in the offseason, that, maybe some of that stuff comes into play as well. And again, Derek Bodden he's currently writing a story right now about what things need to look like for the Philadelphia 76ers, or what they do look like after the Quentin Grimes, Caleb Martin trade. And again, we don't know the details as of yet for this other deal with KJ Martin, but once we do, I'm sure Derek will be all over it in general and letting us all know what that might look like, how it impacts the offseason potentially for Yabusele coming back as well. So good stuff. We appreciate it, Davon. Jumping in 3-time a little bit earlier. I missed this when 3-time said Tobias, Simmons, and Joel used to do the same high-low when it comes to Joel
Tobias
Embiid and Yabusele.
was pretty good at that.
Yeah, he was.
He was good at kind of wriggling his way in from the corner and getting post position. And yeah, he was actually pretty good at that.
And Lawrence here with us. Lawrence says that in the chat, I told you Edwards can shoot. Now wait until McCain gets back. It looks good for 3 shooters out there on the floor. Maxey, Edwards, and McCain as well. And you got to like it. You got to like it. Hey, so if you called it, you did. And, good on you to see that, recognize that, see what the guy has. Good stuff, because he has been fantastic in that role. I'd imagine he's getting started again tomorrow, man. He's been that good.
I mean, I'm looking at his threes over the past, let's call it 10 games. Got up 9 in one game. That was against OKC. That was a game they were getting blown out. But got up 7 another game, got up 6 in another game, got up 6, 5, 4, and then he gets up 9 tonight. Like, I did not expect him to be this willing of a three-point shooter, and I think that's great. Because role players in this league, when you're a wing, you got to make threes. You got to make threes unless you are just an unbelievable driver or a defensive player. So he really has a shot to stick. That's been a nice surprise for this group. The one thing I would say from the night's game too, we kind of touched on this earlier, the non-Maxey Joel minutes, they got to figure that out a little bit.
It's been a while too. Yeah, it's been a while.
I just think that the offense was much tougher tonight. Now, during that stretch in the first quarter when they really were kind of hemorrhaging points, Devon, Joel was finding open shooters, and they were bricking their shots. It was Oubre. I think Edwards missed one.
He did.
He was giving them wide open shots. They just weren't making them. But the offense, it does feel like Joel is not the automatic run stopper that he used to be. Because like last year, you would just throw him the ball at the free throw line, and he'd just get fouled.
Mm-hmm.
And it would stop the run after like a 6-0 run.
Yep.
He doesn't quite have that. He needs to be a little bit more of a passer. Now maybe he develops into that once he gets a little more acclimated and starts playing more games. Hopefully he does. I know that's not a guarantee, everybody. But yeah, they got to figure out those minutes. Reggie Jackson was struggling. It was funny. Did you see that they played him with Bona for a little bit tonight?
That was odd.
That was weird.
You're going to see the Bona Yabusele thing because they've been out there a little bit together, but not this one. That was different. That was different.
Those were some weird lineups. You know, you got Ricky running around there. By the way, Rick had a couple really nice passes again tonight. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. He's got some English on the ball when he's,
Do you think he woke up on Saturday and was like, oh, wait, I got the ability to pass the ball to people. Yeah. I can make some great passes. I can make some awesome driving kicks.
Yep. It was the G League, man.
Yeah.
Delaware. That's what happens. Yeah, it's Delaware. Delaware is like, oh, I'm not going back down there. Sorry, guys. I'm not doing that again. We're not having that. So, yeah, man,
that was a struggle. I would say one other thing that was really bad tonight. I mean, the defense we talked about being bad. There were two things that really bothered me. I thought their switch defense tonight was so lazy and so bad. They were getting, Dante Exum, he was in the paint the entire first half. It was ridiculous. What are you doing? He can't even shoot. Go onto the screen. Do something else. And it felt like Maxey, it was one of those bad games for him where every time it's Maxey with his hands up, looking at somebody for botching the switch. You don't want to be one of the two people who botched the switch at all times. I'm not saying all of those were his fault. That was a problem. And then the transition defense, who, I don't even know whose fault this was half the time, but they weren't getting matched up in transition. It was pretty ugly. And then Kelly Oubre had a pretty rough night.
That was going to be my next one for you. Yeah. Yeah. It just didn't look good tonight.
Wasn't a good Kelly game. It's one of those where, let's say once every 12 games, you see the first few possessions, he picks up some fouls and you're like, oh no, it's going to be one of those nights for Kelly.
When he doesn't touch the basketball and is not involved early, you better believe when he touches that rock at some point, he can't help himself. He can't. And they got him a few easy looks too, but yeah, he has to get out of that, man. I mean, look, when that guy is back, it may not be your night. So yeah, he has to get out of that. He really does. But Kelly was not good tonight. Not.
Did you see, thanks to Winona for bringing this up, I could not believe seeing this headline on Twitter today. The Mavericks are offering refunds for all home games this season to season ticket holders who canceled their season ticket packages after the Luka trade.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're giving their money back for the last 20 games.
Yeah.
Or not 20 games, probably 15 home games, something like that.
Yeah. And
plus the playoffs.
It was in excess of $2,000 each or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
That, man, we talked about the Luka trade the other day. I feel so bad for anybody who's a huge fan of that team. You just thought that guy was going to be in your life for the next decade at least, right? Already 7 years, but you thought he was going to be Dirk. You thought he was going to be the guy who, he probably at the end of his career, like Dirk, he wasn't very good, but he's still playing. And, maybe he's won a championship or two for you guys as well. I just feel bad for them. It's just a completely inexplicable trade. So I guess good for them for realizing how badly they hurt their fans.
Yeah. It wasn't everybody. It was some of them in the front office and leadership and all that stuff. They play each other on the 25th of February. That is going to be a nationally televised game. So that'll be his first game back, his first opportunity to play his former team. And boy, whatever the over is, Bet365, our presenting sponsor.
Going to break the algorithm.
What?
Going to be spitting out a number that starts with a 3.
What?
No, not really, but it's going to be high.
It's going to be very high. So make sure you stay tuned for that one because that is, in fact, nuts.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's in a few weeks. Lakers at Mavs, February 25th. So we'll see how we hope the Sixers. I don't know what the Sixers schedule is on February 20 around that time. Let's hope they don't play that night because I want to make sure that we're done any post game show that we have so we can check that one out and see what's going on. So yeah, that one's absolutely going to be nuts. All right, any other of the other stuff? Even I know we have the trade deadline stuff coming up. I did kind of want to ask you about where you've heard Paul George's name linked with the Golden State Warriors, where Golden State's calling about everybody. So it's not just Paul George; they're calling about everybody. But I've at least heard stuff about their interest, like it's real about Paul George. I'm sure you've talked to people that have heard some things as we get closer to the trade deadline. Keith Pompey reported, even the Atlanta Hawks are also sneaking in there, inquiring about Paul George, especially after their injury to Jalen Johnson for the remainder of the season. What do you make of his name being out there? The Eric Gordon piece we've talked so much about with Kyle, Derek, Bree, and we've all discussed it. But the Paul George name, you surprised that his name is out there?
I'm not surprised it's out there because he has had an up and down season. And really, it's more than him having an up and down season. It's that the Sixers have had an up and down season. He was somebody who was super in demand in the offseason. I just don't think Daryl's going to make that move. And we can argue all day about whether he should make that move. Flexibility. Should they be going for it? Should they be trying to retool? All that stuff. I'm not even getting into that tonight. I actually just think that Daryl's not going to trade him. I think he believes in this core. He thinks it's been banged up. It's been hurt. If he can get these guys all on the court, that's the way Daryl's going to think. So
they're coming for him.
I believe, I understand that people might be.
They're like, don't do it.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going to get moved.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think that's come from other teams. And I mean, the Warriors are clearly calling about everybody. Like
everybody.
So Paul George is technically everybody.
He is. He is. Yeah, it hasn't worked out. So call him about everybody. Yep. So a lot of names. You're going to hear a lot of stuff. We're going to check in with Kyle Neubeck right now from the arena to see what the feeling is in the building after another close game, but they pick up the win this time, winning by 2 over the revamped, new look Dallas Mavericks. Even though Anthony Davis wasn't on the floor, he was on the bench, and Max Christie did play. So let's check in with Kyle right now at the arena after a good win. And Kyle, we were wondering what Embiid was going to look like out there. He ends up with the triple-double. It wasn't the prettiest, but it's better than a lot of the games, as Rich and I talked about earlier, that we've seen after a long layoff, where he comes back and kind of dragging his feet, trying to find his way. Looked much better tonight, helping them get their 20th win of the season.
Yeah, I think to me, the best indication of the offensive game for him tonight was the passing early on, where he's looking to use the attention quickly, and he's playing with pace and he's playing with purpose, right? Where, yes, he was in rhythm as a scorer, but they were putting him in the middle of a lot of zone possessions with Joel catching, turning, and immediately firing the ball. And I know he had, maybe 2-3 turnovers that were some regrettable giveaways, but I think by and large, he saw the openings and he took advantage of them basically right away. And that held up as a scorer as well. Like they moved him around the floor a good bit. He had a couple of baseline dunker spot spin moves that he got to the basket on, obviously setting him up at the nail. They're using him as a floor spacer in some swing situations. And so I think from what limited time we've seen him on the floor this year, the stuff that he picked up at the Olympics, the stuff that he's talked about where he doesn't necessarily want to be, and Paul George and everybody else doesn't want him to be center of the universe having to carry the team at all times, is that they are going to try to, tap into the versatility and not ask him to take a billion shots and be the anchor point on every single possession. But I 100% agree. I think offensive sharpness was there basically from the first quarter onward. It was the other end that was a mess, and I don't think that was necessarily all him. I think there are a lot of reasons for that I'm sure we'll get to, but I was kind of expecting the opposite because the offense has been pretty clunky most of the year, and defensively he's been able to help them still a good bit. Tonight it was the opposite, and frankly, I think that's probably a good thing. I think you needed to see a good Joel Embiid offensive game to feel good about where he's at.
100% agree. I think we both made that same point so far, Kyle. Did Joel talk after the game, or is he still okay? Good. What did he have to say about his first game back in about a month here?
Yeah, so I mean, we asked him a few questions about what this last month has been like, and just this everlasting question of like, what is the way forward, and how do you feel about all this? And he took a pretty, I don't want to say passive, but I'll just use that for lack of a better word, kind of a passive approach. He said, it's been tough, but you have to just, do what you can control, do what you can every day. I'm not putting any blame on anybody else. It's nobody's fault. It's just, sometimes your body responds, and I'm going to keep doing the same things day after day. And, if I can play as many games as I can, that's what I'm going to do. If not, he basically said it was in God's hands. And I think he felt good about where he was at tonight, given the layoff, but also one of the things that was a big theme of the presser was that he was proud of the guys that had been fighting and battling and recently competing hard to try to keep this season alive for these guys. And he got asked a question about Quentin Grimes early in the presser tonight, and he made sure to note before he got to Quentin and what he brings to the table, how much he appreciated and respected Caleb Martin, that he had reached out to him and to try to get that signing over the line last summer, and that amongst many other guys on this team, that Caleb and Joel really never got to play on the team that they all envisioned, and now Caleb never really gets that opportunity. So I think that was probably my major takeaway, was that it's easy for Joel, removed from the games and a lot of the losses and the dreariness of the season, to step back from that. But I think, hearing him talk, he has stayed in tune with these guys and, has a profound respect for what they've been doing to try to give him and Tyrese and Paul a chance to turn this into something at the end of the year.
Kyle, on that note, did they mention if Quentin Grimes would be available tomorrow night? Because, man, the perimeter defense was abhorrent tonight.
It's up in the air. So my understanding, obviously, I mean, everyone's understanding, he's in the city, but it's my understanding that if they can pass the physicals, and that's a little trickier for Caleb, who probably has to go to Dallas to their facility and all that Quentin will play tomorrow, but that's no guarantee. So I think he's here and he probably wants to play. They already have his locker set up in the locker room already. So I think he wants to play. We'll see. On the defensive point, Rich, since figure we'll get to it anyway, I think the big thing that tonight drove home was like, man, they play much differently with Joel, and a lot of these guys are just not prepared for it. And I noted this in the recap, but we were in the locker room tonight before the game, and a lot of times they erase some of the more detailed notes on the scout prior to, but there was a ton of them up while we went in there. And it was interesting seeing their coverages were not just different based on whether Joel was in the game, but also if Yabu was playing minutes at the 4, because that's something that has not happened often this year. They're used to, hey, this is what we do when Yabu's the 5, but now there's another layer of even excluding Joel when he's playing next to Bona, like, oh, hey, we're doing this with Yabu at this spot. And Maxey said in the locker room after the game that there was at least a couple possessions where he would look over, Yabu would make a call, and in his head, he's hearing Yabu's voice, and he's like, okay, that's the 5 making this call. I need to do this, and just blowing the play altogether because that's not the call that Yabu is making. And so there is going to be this adjustment period with Joel and with some of their guys changing roles in the days and weeks ahead. But I think at least the want to is there. Like, there was a lot of yelling and like some cursing out amongst teammates tonight of like, what the heck are you doing on this play? I think they want to get it right. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of time to get it right.
And speaking of defensively in general, though, with the Justin Edwards piece, Kyle, where we continue to see him, yes, he has to get familiar with Joel Embiid, but the way that he has been playing over the last a couple of weeks in his normal rotational role and now as a starter as well, just being able to see him turn himself into what it looks like in a similar situation as Ricky Council was a season ago, a two-way player that had an opportunity, took advantage of it, and maybe has earned himself a standard NBA contract based on what he's doing. And as a 3-and-D type of player playing around Maxey, Embiid, and George, the kid just continues to show things that when we were in the Bahamas, we had no clue at training camp that
None.
this is what it was going to look like on February the 4th.
No, Devon, you're absolutely right. Like going back to summer league and training camp, it was like, hey, this kid's a nice project, but no expectation that he's going to play this year. And he's been transparent with us recently. Like he had to rediscover his confidence. He had a tough year at Kentucky. You go from being, like a number 1 overall recruit, you're going to one of the biggest basketball programs in the country, to teams basically said, nah, you're not a priority to us, right? Coming out of the draft. But the confidence that he has rediscovered, Joel was up here at the podium saying, look, there are a lot of guys I got to ask to shoot. I got to say, I want you, if you're open, to take shots. He said, there is not, that problem doesn't exist with Justin. And I think on top of that, the instinct is there. Like, I think there are some nice relocation moments that you see for him as a shooter, just like, broken play. Maybe a guy gets trapped. Maybe there's, a double on Joel. And Justin is already pretty good at sliding into the right spot to provide him an outlet. And then obviously defensively, he's getting trusted to chase around guys like Kyrie Irving. And then he makes in transition, probably the biggest play of the game, stops Najee Marshall, sends them running the other way. That was the difference between potentially winning and losing that game. And so I think the production is great, but to me, the poise and the instincts you're seeing from a kid who has, relatively little basketball experience, I think he's got a great shot to really stick. And I think in this offensive environment with Joel and Maxey and PG, he's the perfect sort of offensive role player you want with those guys.
Kyle, last one from me. You talked about the defensive communication with Yabu at the 4 versus the 5. I thought Yabu was great today at the 4 offensively, and it was a different way than we've seen. Like he's been picking and popping for threes when he's been the 5. He played bully ball tonight at the 4, man. He was just carving out space down there. Joel was finding him. Did anybody talk about that after the game? And what did you see from Yabu?
We asked Nick about this directly, and he said for Yabu it's going to be an adjustment, but it's just a matter of understanding the matchup you're getting and exploiting that. So he said, when Yabu plays the 5, the big way that he can attack teams is you're dragging somebody out to the perimeter. The example I'll use is when you play the Pelicans and you play a traditional center like Valanciunas, that guy doesn't want to go out to the 3-point line. He's big and he'll stop you inside, but he doesn't want to get out there. And even if you're not the guy taking the shot, that's opening up that space under the basket and in the paint for someone like Maxey. Well, when you're playing power forward, maybe that guy's going to close out on you harder, is going to crowd you a little bit more on the perimeter. They're more comfortable out there, but you're going to get more favorable matchups in the post and around the basket. And so you're exactly right, Rich. I think they hit that same play with Joel passing out of the high post, Yabu on the baseline around the dunker spot, just sealing somebody off and getting an easy layup. And, that's when we say power forward, when you want somebody playing with Joel is going to do that stuff, that is Yabu, man. That is a big boy down there. It's like wrestling a bear down on the block. And so I was super encouraged by what we saw tonight. And listen, on top of that, big defensive play in crunch time. And something that we have not necessarily seen a lot from him, understandably so, when they're playing small, he rebounded the ball pretty well, right? Yeah. I think he ended up with like 8 or 9 rebounds. And sometimes he's going through games and he's only got 3 or 4 rebounds as a center. And that's showing you that for him, it's extraordinarily difficult to protect the rim, switch, guard 3-point line to the rim, and then end up with a rebound after that. Well, when you have Joel Embiid, just his presence and his size down there, and he's boxing guys out, that frees up Yabu to go up there and snatch those rebounds. So really good first full night of that. We've obviously seen it a little bit before. And as big Yabu boosters as we are on this show, hopefully they're able to figure some more things out down the stretch.
Yeah, man, really appreciate it. And we want to make sure we told people a little bit earlier, go sign up, take advantage of the Die Hard deal, $36. You want to read all that's going on with the trade deadline from Kyle and Derek and Rich with his newsletter. Make sure you sign up to become a diehard member at allphly.com. The recap from tonight's game as well, a win, so that was fun. And read it all at allphly.com. Become a member. Take advantage. $36, $3 a month for the year. Great stuff, Kyle, as always. We'll see you tomorrow, man, for back-to-back. Chicago beat the Miami Heat, so we got the Miami Heat coming off a loss in Chicago tonight. See what that one looks like tomorrow. Thanks, man.
We will. Oh, one quick thing. I don't know if you guys saw or brought it up on the show, but just in case, Joel is not playing tomorrow, so they will do the back-to-back without him. I don't think we have official word on PG, but I guess you would hope that he's able to finally return from the pinky issue tomorrow and give them some reinforcements, because otherwise be pretty light on that back-to-back. But see you, fellas. Get home safe.
You too. We appreciate it. Kyle Neubeck joining us from the arena.
Stretch out the pinky tomorrow.
Stretch out the pinky, man. I mean, look, I thought he would be out for a few games, but I know a lot of people were ticked off.
He tore a tendon, right?
Yeah. I thought he'd be out for a while. Even before we knew that, I'm like, this is, you got to catch it. You got to do a lot of stuff.
I don't know what that feels like. Yeah, that doesn't sound great.
Nah, it does not. Nah, it does not. So, good stuff, though. Good stuff overall from Kyle. We really appreciate him joining. He'll be back tomorrow as well. And we'll get to him and Derek tomorrow. Also, can I ask you a question? Everything going on in New Orleans, great shows from the guys for the Eagles. And it's been a blast to follow them, to see everything that's going on. So I think the other day they said they ate like alligator and something else. And I'm like, you know me, Bree knows me. I'm like, nah, no thanks. I'm really traditional. No, hell no, right? Don't care how it's fried and it tastes like whatever. And then I'm, me also, where get that away from me.
Yeah.
Jamie has a picture up on.
Jamie's a wild man.
Jamie's a wild man.
He's like the Ferris Bueller of New Orleans.
Jamie
he's
will
hitting
do
the town.
Yes,
now.
he is. He was out the other day at a jazz place for 3 hours by himself.
Unbelievable.
I don't know if Bree has this ready.
You think you know a guy?
Well, I know this guy, and I know that he would do this, which he did. I am not, under any circumstances, picking up an alligator. I am not.
That is a live alligator?
Yes. Now, of course, everything. Right, Bree? That is a live alligator. You got the mouth all covered.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
I'm not picking one up either.
What the hell?
Like,
they got the Hannibal Lecter on it.
No way.
Makes you feel safe. No,
absolutely
no.
not.
I don't feel safe.
I am not that adventurous.
No way.
I'm not hang gliding. People who don't know, I'm not hang gliding. I'm not. No. Absolutely not.
Oh, no.
Jamie's go for it, Jay. It's my guy. Known Jamie for years. We know each other. I'm not doing that. No. I don't care. The hands tied.
No way.
Hell no.
Come on, man.
You gave the come on, man.
An alligator?
No.
I might do some of the height stuff that you wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Like the hang glide and stuff. I don't know, man.
I'm with Boots. Boots says snake, alligator. I'm not picking up a snake either. No.
I remember, so when I was a kid, we had an assembly, and the assembly was literally just this guy brought a bunch of snakes in. That was the assembly. It's like the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. I'm going to the office. I'm going to the principal's office, whatever I'm doing.
Go pet the slippery snake. I'm like,
what? What?
I'm in like fourth grade. It's like the worst day of my life to that point. It's awful. Oh,
for God. What? What do I want to pet that snake for?
I don't want that. Yeah.
Come on. Somebody on Twitter, since he put it, Kevin Stolster said, your large son isn't allowed at CBP. Remember they had that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also crazy.
Yeah. Remember they were walking around Love Park with the
Get out of there.
Support alligator?
Get out of there. Come on.
Not doing that.
See, so here's the thing. You said that Jamie ate it as well?
Bo, Zach, Julia.
See, I might try to eat.
I like what I like.
I'm a little more adventurous with the food than you.
No, thank you.
It's more being afraid of that thing eating me alive is what the...
Yeah.
No, I'm a live alligator, no way.
Maurice Yam says depends on the snake.
Well, that's true. There are different sizes, different types.
They're all the same size snake to me.
At that assembly, all of them were no-goes.
But they like...
Oh, yeah.
They had some length and...
Multiple feet. Yeah, bad.
Nah. I'm out. Snakes, tarantulas, Agavini says somebody bought a tarantula.
Out on that too.
No. All right. On that note, let's get ready to say goodbye. Bree, you're out on all that stuff?
All of it?
All of it. Maybe a turtle. That would be like the.
That's different.
That would be like the cusp.
And
of
even
like
with that
reptile.
one, I'm like,
But that's like probably the only reptile.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm good.
That's why
I'm not eating them.
That's why you're
not
our
touching
folks
them.
here,
Yeah.
because we're like,
I'm good.
hell no, we're not doing
No
that.
thanks.
Gator tail is okay. SB Cole says, all right, cool. Yeah,
I would try a little gator
good for
tail.
you. I'm out. Now bring me my steak or whatever other stuff I want to order. Pizza, I'm good.
Steak and pizza.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not doing that. All right, let's get to the
two main food groups, steak and pizza.
Let's get to the world famous roll call on this night. Oh, man, let's say goodbye to a lot of people and a lot of thank yous to a lot of people as Mike Linder is in there as well. I'm not doing any of that stuff. All right, let's get to all the people here. Starting off with Davon with the super chat. Thank you, Davon, as always. We appreciate the 2 super chats. Always contributing to the show. We got Better Love Somebody with us here tonight. Yams, Gavini. What's going on, people? Fusion. Also, Nikki G with us tonight. Al, the 2-minute warner. What up, Al? 5G. Rich P. What up, Rich? Both of you, Rich. J Love, Grump 365. Why are you so grumpy 365 days a year? Super Bowl is coming. It's on the way.
Come on.
Don't need to be grumpy about that. Holy cannoli. Rick M. Philly in Berlin. We love it. Appreciate it. Scott, Julius, and Boots hanging out with us on this Wednesday night following a win. Neil Deaver, Val hosts. Hey, Val. X-Man. What up, X? Always good to see you, X. Ron. We appreciate seeing you as well. Prophet One, SB Cole, as we just said. Theo, Remo K. What up, Remo?
What up, Remo?
3-time PHLY guy. Bill H. Rick Sachs. Ricky. Jeff. Sal in here as well. DC Marley, Music Lover 31, and Jack Reacher. I love the movie, Jack. Love it. Love the movie, Jack Reacher.
Sure.
It's a good one.
Love the commenter, too.
Well, it was his story. Tom Cruise stole it. I hope he paid him for it. Kyle Wright, Dougie Craig. We talked about Dougie a little bit earlier. Jerry Sinclair, Philly 007. Good to see you. Joe and Peace. We see you, Peace. We see you, Peace. Paul Kim, love the show. Thank you so much. Paul, Marcus Blackstock, our good friend. Scott, Ike O, Jeff, Evan Davis, Babur, Jack J, and Keita King, always checking in with us. And finally, Alita, Jess with the Purple Heart, Vic, Joaquin, Fachi, Prophet, we already mentioned, Tom Jackson, Presidential Mike, Gavini, Malari, Sean Ford, Kush, and S. We thank everybody for hanging out with us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show. Hit that button, hit the bell icon to get the alert that it is, in fact, showtime. Yeah. Make sure you're with us tomorrow starting at 7 o'clock for the pregame show presented by Bet365. Must be 21 plus. Physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure you sign up using the code PHLY365. For Kyle and Derek at the arena, St. James, good night. For Bree, Rich, I'm Devon. A lot of activity going on around the Sixers. Stay aware. Follow all PHLY_Sixers in all of our individual accounts because you never know what could happen. And Kyle already told us, based on his reporting, he broke the news about KJ Martin. Don't expect something tonight. Expect it early, sometime tomorrow, of whatever the KJ Martin deal is. Everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 7 ahead of Sixers Heat right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.